Okay, welcome. Today's Tuesday, November 28th, and today is the day that Bitcoin hit $10,000. That's really just amazing, and congratulations to everybody in crypto. It's a huge milestone and something to be really proud of as a community. But I also wanted to take a moment to take a look at some things to be aware of and how to manage this kind of milestone, manage the risk that's there for everybody. Now, everyone's going to make their own choices, but I think it's important to be aware of what's happened historically and how it could potentially impact what happens in the future. So with all of that said, let's start with a Bitcoin chart from the end of 2013. This is a daily chart of Bitcoin from when it was roughly around $2 up until around $48. And what I'm going to use the TradingView time-lapse feature so that we can watch this chart. Now, every bar that gets drawn represents 1 day of price action for Bitcoin. So we're going to start this around, you can see right now we already had a huge rise. From the very beginning of 2013, around January, it had run from $2 to $13. Then by March, it had run to $50. And now you can see what happened. As it moved through March, every bar draws a new day. And the price keeps going. $100, $140. This was the first bubble in Bitcoin. And you can see what happened is the chart went straight vertical. And once it got all the way up to $260, from a low of $2 all the way up to $260 within a few months, it did all of this rise in a short period of time, and then it crashed all the way back down to about $40. And then it did some other things, and it did the rest of whatever it did there. So that's example number one of a vertical chart of Bitcoin and the type of retrace that it happened. Okay, so we're going to go to example number two. Example number two takes us all the way to around November of 2013. Now, what you see here on the left, this is the first bubble we looked at. This is the rise that I just did on the chart that filled in bar by bar, where it went from $2 up to $260. This is the aftermath of that bubble popping. And then this is the next step. So now we're starting off where the old bubble left off, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and enable the day by day. So we went from starting point of roughly $260, and then we started going north again. 400, 477, 700. Then we dropped back down. Now this is every bar is 1 day. So you can see these are really, really huge swings. All the way up to 1200. Now look what happens when it hits 1200. A lot of volatility, and then boom, starts to come back down to 500. So more than a 50% retrace. So that's example number two, where the price goes vertical. Our first example was this one, and it looks so small by comparison, right? And it did a very deep retrace. The second bubble, just as vertical, but on a much larger scale. Did the same thing though. It retraced really, really hard when it popped. Okay, that's example number two. Let's go to example number three. Again, this happened in the end of 2013, early 2014. So now the chart we're looking at includes the first bubble that we looked at that went to 260. The next bubble we looked at that went to 1200. And then this is the aftermath of that bubble, the 1200 all the way down to 150. And this was the 2-year bear market of Bitcoin, this big bull here. This was the cup. This was the handle, and this was the breakout to where we are now. So now I'm going to start the chart again, roughly where the old bubble left off, around 1300, 1200 to 1300. Let's see how it goes. So again, every bar is 1 day. And you can see the pattern that's happening. It just basically goes. Now, there's a little bit more up and down here, but we're really going to get to the good stuff here in a moment. So there's a nice retrace. And then this happens. So there you are. There's your next vertical line. So that's our third bubble. You could say that we're in the third bubble now. Now, what do we want to learn from this? I can't say that this is the top. If you learned anything from the first two examples, you really couldn't predict the top. When it was at $2, how could you predict that a couple of months later it would be at 260? That's a 100-time increase. I don't think you can. And then in the second example, when it was $100, how could you predict that it would go to $1,200? Here, when it broke 1,000 in January, a lot of people did call for 10,000, and now we're at 10,000. So where does this end? I don't know. But one of the things and one of the reasons I'm making this video is a reminder for myself that when you see this kind of vertical movement, every time we've seen it, there's been a retrace, and it's been a substantial retrace. So really the way to protect yourself is to either take some profit here or hold everything and just see how high it goes. But when it does retrace, don't count on it bouncing back very quickly. It's very difficult to call a top, and there could be a fake out. But I think more importantly, you want to practice some risk management when there's been this type of gain in this short period of time. I'm still bullish on cryptocurrencies long term. I still think that Bitcoin has a future ahead of it. I have my opinions about Bitcoin Cash versus Bitcoin, but I don't think Bitcoin is just going to disappear. We could go much, much higher, but just be aware of the vertical chart that we're in and what happens to charts that get into this kind of ascent. Okay, that's all I have for today. Leave a comment, like it, follow me on Twitter. I'd love to get some comments. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.